In the past 1 year and 9 months, I've had very exciting and transformative experiences that have honestly changed my life. I have gone out of my country to study abroad. I have started making an online income monthly through YouTube, and I've learned a high value skill that I can now use to reach out to any business around the world, to potentially work with them and help them make more money, which would make me money as well. And in as much as I've had a lot of exciting experiences, I've also learned a lot along the way that would have saved me a lot of time and would have helped me emotionally and mentally had I known these things earlier. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing 5 lessons that will help you save a lot of time along your journey if you're going to go through any similar path as I have, or that can be used in any path, frankly. So the first lesson that I learned was that nothing is impossible. The sky is not the limit. It's how far your eyes end seeing. So I'm looking down because I have them written down. But yeah, this lesson I learned even before I went abroad to study. It's something that my mother taught me a very long time ago and something that has stuck with me. And just hearing the quote makes me believe that anything is possible. And as long as I keep going and I never quit, I will always find a way out of a situation or find a way to be in a certain room that I've always dreamed of being. Find a way to make my dreams come true. I just set my mind to it, it was going to happen. And going abroad to study is one of those examples. Like, it may not seem like a big deal, but for the most part, going abroad has been a dream of mine since I could remember. And I'm actually very happy. Happy is an understatement, but I don't know what word I can best describe the feeling of telling myself that I'm going to do something and it actually happens. I'm sure my younger self would be so excited and wouldn't believe everything that I see now. So that's the first point. Nothing is impossible. The sky is not the limit. It's how far your eyes end seeing. So if you can see beyond the sky, then please do so. If you believe you want to do something, if you believe you can make something come to life, go for it, and don't let anybody around you stop you. Don't let the beliefs of others stop you. And most of all, don't let your own beliefs stop you from doing what is possible. So the second lesson that I learned is to be truthful to yourself. Do the things that lead you closer to your goals. So for this lesson, the best way I can describe what I mean is that if you're not doing the things that you know need to be done, then there's no reason for you to complain. You're not supposed to have wishful thinking when it comes to your dreams and your hopes and your desires. If you want something to be a certain way, if you want to change something about your own life, if you want to chase a certain goal or a certain desire of yours, you are the one who's responsible of making it happen. You don't have to wait for someone to hand it to you on a silver platter. No one is ever going to do that. Everybody is in their own worlds trying to make things happen for themselves. They're not going to stop and help you out unless it benefits themselves or unless they're really that good of a good Samaritan. Everybody's in their own worlds trying to figure things out as well. So you having wishful thinking and you hoping that just having the dream is enough, you hoping that it would happen is enough, isn't going to make it happen. The best example I can give about this is the whole YouTube thing. I won't talk about the YouTube channel that I make money through, but me starting a YouTube channel and speaking in front of the camera is something that I never thought I would do, but I also always had the dream to be a content creator, to share everything that I've learned online, to have a presence online where people would watch me and learn something from me and enjoy spending time with me. But then those are two contradicting things. Like, I never wanted to be in front of the camera, I never wanted to speak, I never wanted to show my face in front of anybody because of fear of judgment and all those other excuses I used to give myself, like not having the right equipment, achievement and a lot of things down the line. I always used to say those things to myself, but in the actual sense, I had this dream of always wanting to be a creator. So that's the thing. If you're going to say you want something, do the things that are going to lead you to that thing. Don't oppose it. Especially don't complain if you know you're not doing anything to lead you to that thing. Because if you're going to complain about you not being in a certain place or having a certain thing when you're not doing anything to get to that thing, it's going to make you seem like a very unserious person. It's going to make you seem like you just want things to be handed to you. Nothing was promised to you. Nothing has been written in stone that it is for you and you're going to have it. You have to work for it. So if you're not willing to work for it, then you shouldn't have to complain about not having it, because you haven't taken any necessary steps to get to that. And that's something that I have to constantly remind myself of, because I tend to be a person that doesn't want to work too hard or do the hard stuff that I know is going to lead me to the place I want to be. And if I'm intentionally not doing hard things, intentionally not pushing myself beyond my limit, then I have no reason to complain about where I am now and me not being in a place that I would like to be. So that is lesson number 2. Be truthful to yourself and do the things that lead you closer to where you want to be. Lesson number 3 is to find a way through, not out. Things will become difficult not to punish you, but to prepare you. This is something that I've learned very recently, actually. And it was a very big mindset shift for me, because I've been in a lot of situations ever since I started pushing myself to do things that I'm not very comfortable with. The first one is going out of my country to study in another country. And prior to that, I had never left my own country. I never knew any cultures other than my own. And me going abroad was very difficult for me. I remember going through a lot of things, especially with like my documentation and things that I needed, that I was not told prior to leaving that I needed. So I had no idea. It's not that I just did not have them. And I remember that being a very stressful period of time for me. And also the course that I am doing right now is civil engineering. So it's a science-based course. And when I was in high school, I was doing something business related. And after school, I came straight to India, where I currently am. And I did not take any A-level course to try and keep up with everybody else that was already doing like advanced level science. So when I came here, everybody was already aware of what they were doing. Everybody had a foundation, whereas I did not. So me coming to India for the first time and me studying subjects that I was not very familiar with was very difficult for me. And on top of that, I had the whole issue with my documentation and how I was being told that I couldn't write exams if I didn't have them, and all those things that are going on. It was a very stressful time. And then now that I look back at it, after like having this mindset shift, I realized that things become very difficult. First of all, when you make a very big shift in your life, when you make a very big change in your life, things become very difficult. And it's not a sign for you to go back to how things were before. Because I remember during that whole time, I was complaining to my parents and then talking to them about how things were very difficult for me. And my parents even suggested that one, I should change courses, or I should just go back home and do something in my own country. So yeah, and I remember telling them that I was not going to do that, and I put myself in that situation and I was going to find a way out. I told them I was not going to change my course, which was an option at the time. Some people did change their courses, but I was like, I put myself in this situation and I wouldn't be put in a situation that I could not handle. That was the mindset that I had at the time. And now that I've learned about this lesson recently, it makes so much sense, because things become difficult when you have a big change in your life, and when things are about to go up, when things are about to become so much better, things just tend to become a whole lot worse. And that's the place in which most people decide to fall off. Most people decide to quit and say, I'm not doing this, I'm going to give up, and this is a sign for me not to follow through. But back then I had the mindset that I was not going to give up, and back then I was just forcing myself into that mindset. But now that I realize this, every time that I'm going through something difficult, every time that I'm going through tough times, I try my best to remind myself that I'm being prepared, I'm not being punished. And things just tend to become more difficult. It's a test of time. Are you going to stand by a word and follow through, or are you going to back out and not bear the fruits of your labor after the storm is over? The fourth point on my list is the dots connect backwards and everything happens for a reason. This also relates to the last point that I just made. Everything just tends to make sense after you have gone through it. Nothing makes sense when things seem difficult, when you don't see a clear way out. But once things now become calm, then you start to realize why you went through those things. You start to see how things start to piece together. Let me give an example of me doing a course that I was seriously not ready for, and how it plays a big role in my situation right now. Had I not taken this course, had I not done an engineering course, I wouldn't have met certain people in my life. And there's a friend that I have that led me to meet the partner that I have now, that I'm now working on another separate YouTube channel that pays me monthly to do the things that I do. Had I not met that friend who introduced me to my partner now, I would have not been in this situation. So now that I look back at it, it makes so much sense, because I wouldn't have met the person, I wouldn't have had my own monthly income, I wouldn't have had a sense of making money online being possible, and I wouldn't be doing all the things that I'm doing now to try and find more ways in which I can make money, or find more ways in which would be more suitable to my liking. Like how I started my own newsletter, which is called Sunday Reset. The link will be in the description below. Had I not met him, I don't think I would have been sharing my lessons and my experiences on my newsletter like I do now. I wouldn't have had the courage to go out and learn a skill that led me to having an internship with someone in another country. So the dots connect backwards. You can't try and pave your own way looking forward, but once you reach a certain point and you look back at everything that has gone on in your life, everything starts to make sense. So the last point that I have here is your surrounding and people greatly impact you. As I have mentioned throughout this video, I don't think I would have been in this situation had I not met certain people, had I not been in certain surroundings. Like me being away from home makes whatever I'm doing a little bit more easier for me. I don't think it's about being in a different country, although that could play a part as well, but just being away from home and being away from the norm makes things a lot easier, makes me able to experiment without the fear of what people are going to think about me and all those other excuses that I would let stop myself from doing things that I know I genuinely want. As the quote says, I don't want to be cliche, but as the quote says, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if the people around you are going to be doing the same thing every day, you are not going to have certain ideas, a certain mindset shifts. You won't have that motivation to get out of your comfort zone and try something new. But if you're surrounded around people who are always trying to better themselves, always trying to find ways to make their lives better, or find ways to go towards their goals, if you're always having certain conversations with people who are going to push you to try harder, then that will lead you to actually try. It's going to be easier for you to put in the effort to try and better your life, because you're surrounded around people who are constantly doing that for themselves. You're going to feel out of place if you don't even at least give it a try. So make sure you pay attention to your surrounding. If you're too comfortable in the place that you're in, if the place that you're in does not push you to do better or be better, then try your best to get out of that surrounding. Or if that's not possible, just try your best to do something different. Try your best to switch things up a little. An example is how I feel like I'm now starting to get very used to how things are here in India, I still try my best to make myself uncomfortable just so that I can push myself. Yes, the people and the places around you, sometimes you cannot control, but you can control what you do about it. You can control whether you spend more time with those people or you try your best to look for other friends who are going to push you to do better. You can decide to complain about it or you can change it. So these are the 5 lessons that I wish I knew earlier, but as I said before, everything happens for a reason and the dots connect backwards, so I wouldn't have had it any other way. But if you're in any situation in which any of these 5 lessons apply, I hope that these 5 lessons help you. So that's what I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and share it with a friend if you think they need any of these lessons.